if I wanted to brainwash a nation, I wouldn't chain their hands. I'd program their minds until obedience felt like freedom. I'd hand them a false stage, left against right, red against blue. Neighbors turned into enemies, families split down dinner tables, all while both wings flap for the same bird. That stopped me in my tracks. I want to dive into that.
Yeah, let's go.
What made you write that?
I get to travel often. And as I travel, I'm pretty aware of my surroundings, and I just kind of tune into what I've noticed has changed over, let me just say, since COVID. And I feel into that time after COVID when the world kind of opened back up. And what a special feeling it felt to kind of come back to community and have this excitement again, this, man, I really missed you. Like, how are you doing? That was really challenging. And, you know, fast forward, here we are, tail end of 2025. I recognize a kind of pattern that's happening again, where I see this tremendous disconnect as I look around from the gym to the airport to just walking in the grocery store. I really feel into what it feels for me when I see everybody, I'll loosely use the word hijacked by their phone. And so it's like I'm walking around in this experience here, navigating this world, and is anybody actually home? I'm kind of looking for eyes, just looking for a little connection. You know, after COVID, as I would look into people's eyes, I could feel the intensity, the kind of the polarization that was happening in people's body from the fear that a lot of people absorbed and felt and experienced. And now what I'm sensing isn't so much fear as much as a disconnect. And so I asked myself the question, you know, if there was a hand involved in this, a greater play, how would I brainwash them? How would I take culture and strip them from the present moment? And how would I pin or side people against each other, so much so that they were so busy in the back and forth entertainment of who's right, who's wrong, that I'm making plays 10 years down the road. And so when I started to sit with the fact that maybe there's just this greater system at play that's putting people left versus right, blue versus red, Christian, non-Christian, vaxxed, non-vaxxed, all I felt into is the separation. And all I feel called back into is what I think humanity's truly asking for is connection. And that's the piece that I speak to in what I'm bringing through in the world, is that piece of connection. And how do we get back to the roots of connection?
Right. It sounds like we have something 10 times bigger than Mount Everest to climb. Because you're right. I like what you said on your socials, what you just told me right now. Like we're pitted against each other. A great example of that is, and I don't want to make this like a super political conversation, but it's hard to avoid it.
Of course.
So with the whole shutdown and everything, it seems like theater because in one end, you know, Democrats are holding out because they want to make sure that we get our healthcare subsidies, so that healthcare doesn't triple.
Sure.
But then they give in. And then Republicans are saying it's the Democrats' fault and vice versa. And every conversation I'm having with people about politics it's so tribal these days, a lot more than, I mean, during like 9/11, I was young. I was trying to pay attention, but not really.
Right.
But as I look back and I actually pay attention to politics. At least back then, there was an illusion of us actually coming together. Now the illusion's fallen. The veil's been unveiled.
Yeah.
So, which I think it's good that the illusion is disappearing, but it seems a little chaotic. You know?
Mm-hmm. By design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said that the goal is to get back to connection.
Mm-hmm.
How do we do that?
Well, I think it's simple, and yet within the framework of how the world moves, or at least Western culture, I can see how it's so challenging. I mean, I think in that specific post, or one of them, let's connect to the ground, put our feet back in the earth. Before our last podcast, we went outside, you and I, grounding. It's like so many people live in these corporate environments or city environments, and it's just a unnatural rhythm. Right. So when I speak to connection, I speak to rhythm. There's a rhythm within the earth. There's a pulse that people have forgot to follow, and that's where the hijacking comes in. When I say hijacking, I mean like cortisol and dopamine going off because there's a screen in somebody's hand that people are reacting to. And so how do we get away from it? Well, an incredible way is to fast from electronics, to fast from social media, to fast from chaos, and come back to a rhythm, a neutrality, that when one enters into it, it becomes home. And then, because I find myself when I go back into those spaces of social media or curiosity, what's happening in the world, I'm like, whoo, let me go back into nature. Let me go for a hike. I'm not ready for this quite yet. I've got to balance my nervous system so I can absorb all of that information. So a lot of people have taken in enough information for a lifetime. I think if social media just got pulled and everybody got back to community and cooking and hanging, I think there would be a level of connection where we could actually integrate all the information that we've absorbed. And that's the piece that I feel is really missing.
Right. And it would be great. I mean, it sounds great, but the powers that be are strong, right? And
sure.
as much as I want this conversation to reach far and people to actually digest and understand it, it's at most a couple million people.
Sure.
In a country with 300 and something million, in a world with 7-8 billion.
Yeah.
And then the powers that are really, really controlling the masses. So it's like, I think those are great solutions. It's like, how do we, on a larger scale, actually fix it? Now, I will say, I think that with the evolution of AI, and I've talked to Alexi and Preston about this, I think that there's probably going to turn and be a longing of connection, of something real. Because now we're going to be able to produce something that you might have taken you weeks or months to produce. Like AI is going to be pumping out content and the best music you've ever heard just like that, but we'll know it's not real. So I think that's when we'll probably try to at least default back to, all right, what's connection, what's human, what's real?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it's necessary and it's beautiful. I mean, I can see the beauty in the swing of the pendulum that way and the information that's coming through, because I think we need contrast as humans. I think oftentimes we calibrate way too far towards disconnection. And AI is kind of like the ability to go into infinite disconnection, because people can get really lost in it, and also use it for therapy or whatever the case is. But if I'm just going to zoom out, Sacred, with all of these things, with all social medias or with AI, I pay attention to the filter as to who's the choreographer of it. And I don't put truth into what it's coming through, because it's coming through the lens or the filter of a maker that could have an agenda. Okay. So I hold what comes through that really loosely. And I think people are going to really want to come back to wisdom keepers, to those that are able to bring them to rites of passage through the wilderness, to fast, through men's groups where they take them for several days and they take them through this rites of passion, or a meditation retreat. All of those things, I believe, are going to be like, in 5 to 6 years, the most desired spaces and places to go, because so many people are going to get lost into this AI world and forget themselves and forget their purpose or their creativity, because they're just going to outsource it.